Good morning, class 11. In today's session, children, I'll be discussing with you the discovery of neutron. And you know that in the previous sessions, I was discussing with you the history of the discovery of electron and proton and some important models like J.J. Thomson's model was discussed with you. I also discussed with you the Rutherford's scattering experiment, which gave rise to the discovery of nucleus, and it was, a very, very renowned discovery of Rutherford because he was the one who told that actually the nucleus is positively charged and the mass of an atom is present in the center of the atom, whereas the electrons, which possess negligible mass, revolves around the nucleus. So I hope you remember, and you must have seen the videos that, and according to Rutherford, the mass of the atom is present in the center, which is positively charged, and rest of the space outside the nucleus is empty because the electrons which are present in these spaces hardly possess any mass. That is why the alpha rays passed, most of the alpha rays, around 99% alpha rays passed undeviated and followed a straight path, and only few rebounded. The rays which hit directly this nucleus part just rebounded. So it was his conclusion that the nucleus is present in the center of the atom, and it is the mass of the nucleus which is responsible for the mass of the atom. So Rutherford gave a very important suggestion about the structure of the atom. His ideas were totally accepted at that time, and he got a lot of appreciation for his discoveries. But you all know that there is one more subatomic particle which is yet to be discovered. Okay, what is that? It is neutron. Yes, electron and proton are discovered because it was already proposed by Sir John Dalton that an atom is electrically neutral. So the moment electron was known by the scientists, the moment electron was discovered by Sir J.J. Thomson, immediately Goldstein started to work upon the positive particle present inside the atom, and he was successful in discovering that particle and also correctly studying the properties, predicting the properties of proton. So I hope you people have seen the previous videos and you people are aware of the important properties of electron and proton, the mass and charge especially, because now in quantum mechanical model we will be needing the charge and mass most of the times. Okay, now moving on to the discovery of neutron. Again, now who gave this idea? The first person who thought of this third subatomic particle and who theoretically predicted or assumed that there is presence of a third subatomic particle was none other than Rutherford. He was the person who gave or who put up this idea in front of the scientists that there is possibility of the presence of third subatomic particle, that is neutron. Now how did he reach to this idea? Actually, when he discovered his model, okay, which I discussed in my last video, when he discovered his model and he discovered the nucleus, what happened? He found that the mass of the atom, okay, the mass of the atom which was calculated experimentally was coming out to be twice the mass of proton. Are you getting it? The mass of the atom which was calculated theoretically was coming out to be twice the mass of the proton present inside an atom. So that means obviously it was known by the scientists by this time that electron has negligible mass. Okay, electron has negligible mass. That means if you talk about the mass of the atom, then electron has no role in it. Electron has no contribution towards the mass of the atom. Then what is the particle? Then it was assumed that there must be presence of some third subatomic particle which is actually present inside the atom, and the mass of that particle is equal to the mass of the proton. But the charge over that particle must be neutral, must be zero, because electrical neutrality of the atom was already justified and there was no flaw in that, there was no error in that. The only thing which was disturbing Rutherford was the mass of the atom. Mass of the atom was not satisfied only with one subatomic particle, that is proton, since electron had no contribution towards the discovery, towards the mass of the atom. Now this particular idea was very useful in the discovery of neutron. I repeat this, children, when it was studied by the scientist, when it was studied by Rutherford, basically when he calculated the mass of the atom experimentally, he found that the mass of the atom is actually twice the mass of proton. That means this was an indication for Rutherford that there must be a third subatomic particle which does not possess any charge, but the mass of neutron is equal to the mass of proton. So then what happened? This idea was immediately caught by Chadwick. He immediately took advantage of this idea of Rutherford and started working over it, and then he performed an experiment. What was that experiment? It was a simple experiment, and you don't have to go into detail of this experiment. You only have to study this much of matter that I have mentioned here. Chadwick performed some scattering experiment. Scattering experiment means, again, alpha, beta or gamma rays must be hitting some atom or some mass, in which he bombarded some light elements like beryllium and boron. What he did? He bombarded some light elements like beryllium and boron with fast moving alpha particles. What are alpha particles? I discussed with you in my last session. Alpha particles are doubly ionized helium atom, or you can say helium nucleus. He found that some new particles were emitted which carried no charge. So what did he observe? When alpha particles were bombarded with, or when these light atoms were bombarded with alpha particles, some new particles were emitted which carried no charge, first of all, and the mass was nearly equal to that of proton, and he named it as neutron. So basically you can see here that the whole idea was put forth by Rutherford, but it was Chadwick who worked upon that idea. So now the credit for the discovery of neutron goes to Chadwick. So basically, children, in the history of chemical sciences or in the history of chemistry, you'll see that it was like this only. One scientist gave the idea and the other scientist worked upon it, and then the credit goes to that particular scientist only. If you remember, from the chapter periodic table, I told you that the periodic table, most of the work, 90% of the work of the modern periodic table was done by Mendeleev. But then finally, just Moseley, what did he do? He just caught hold of one flaw in Mendeleev's periodic table, and then finally he corrected it, and now today we are giving the credit of that periodic table to Moseley only, and he is now known for the projection of that periodic table which we are following in today's time. So this is how neutron was discovered, and this was the history of the discovery of subatomic particles. Children, you don't have to learn anything except for the name of the scientist and few important observations and properties. This was just like a story. You simply have to again recall these things in the form of story only, and you only need to remember that how these things happened in the history of chemistry. Being a science student, you must be aware that what are the or who all were the important scientists, who all were the contributors to the recent discoveries that we are using these days. Okay, so this is very important. So this was the discovery of neutron. So finally electron was discovered by Sir J.J. Thomson, proton was discovered by Goldstein, and then neutron was discovered by Chadwick, and nucleus was discovered by Rutherford. So please do remember the name of the scientist and also the charge over the proton, neutron and electron. What is the exact value of charge over electron? Yes, you are right. It is minus 1.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 19 coulomb, and the magnitude of the charge over proton is also same, only the sign is reverse. Whereas neutron carries no charge. I hope you remember the mass also. The mass of neutron is 9.11 into 10 raised to the power minus 31 kg, which is almost negligible in comparison to the mass of proton and neutron, and mass of proton and neutron is almost same. Very little difference which can be neglected. Okay, now before moving to the next model, that is Bohr's atomic model, which is very important model, children, I would like to tell you one very important theory, which is Planck's quantum theory, because this theory will be used in explaining the Bohr's atomic model. So from Bohr's atomic model, you will be actually putting up your first step towards the modern atomic structure, towards the quantum atomic structure. So first of all, let us see what this theory is. Most of you must be knowing it. If you have done it in physics, I don't know. According to Planck's quantum theory, different atoms and molecules can either emit or absorb energy. Okay, very simple line, children. Different atoms and molecules can either emit or absorb energy. We see there are so many atoms and molecules around us, right, and they keep on emitting energy and also absorbing energy. That is why we are able to see the objects around us. The reflection is going on every time. In discrete quantities only, these atoms and molecules can either emit or absorb energy in discrete quantities only. The smallest amount of energy absorbed or emitted is known as quantum. So quantum is the smallest amount of energy which is emitted or absorbed. And I don't know whether you have done it now in physics or no, because I guess it is also in your physics, class 11's physics, this quantum mechanics. And this states that basically the light is discontinuous, not continuous. Like if you say that sun is emitting out energy, this is very simple example I am giving you. Sun is emitting out energy, which usually we show it like this, continuous rays, but actually it is not like this, children. Okay, for your art and craft, this type of rays, okay, but in case of science, in case of chemistry and physics, you need to know that energy, the light does not travel like this. It travel in the form of small packets like this, and these small packets of light is known as quanta, and each quanta has a fixed amount of energy which is known as h nu. I'll explain you what this h nu. So light travels in the form of this discontinuous ray, and that is why we say that energy emitted or absorbed is in discrete quantities, in fixed quantities. Okay, and those fixed quantities have a fixed value which is equal to h nu. Okay, fine. So next point about this is that energy, please remember this term, children, that energy is quantized, and energy, that smallest packet of energy, is known as quantum. That energy is directly proportional to the frequency of radiation. So you can say the energy which is emitted or absorbed is directly proportional to mu. Mu is what? Frequency. In some books you'll find for frequency letter F is used, but now you need to remember that nu indicates frequency. Okay, and frequency, I hope you people know that what this term frequency means. Okay, and then Whenever you see a proportionality sign, you have to remove this proportionality sign with equal to sign, and whenever you convert this proportionality into equal to sign, we use a constant. And in this case, since it was given by Planck's, it is H is known as Planck's constant. So now the formula becomes E equals to h nu. Nu is frequency, again reminding you, and nu is equal to c upon lambda, where c is what? Speed of light, and lambda is wavelength of light. So when you substitute the value of nu here, it can be written as E equals to hc upon lambda. So both the formulas are very important, and you will get the application of these formulas in numericals. Fine. Now see each term, the description of each term. Mu is equal to frequency, c is the speed of light, and h is Planck's constant. The value of Planck's constant is 6.6 into 10 raised to the power minus 34 joules second, whereas lambda is wavelength. So these are the various terms. So you basically need to know that the energy travels in the form of small packets. The energy absorbed or emitted by any atom or molecule travels in small packet, which is known as quanta, and the energy associated with each quanta is equal to h nu, which can be written as in the form of hc upon lambda. So this is very important concept, children. I told you this in between because I will be using it frequently to explain you rest of the concepts. And children, since you are in class 11 now and you are a science student, it is necessary for you to be regular in studies. I'm telling you, class 11 syllabus is not like that of class 10th. You can make out through the videos, you can make out through the chapters length that your just one chapter is equivalent to those all the chapters of chemistry that you did in class 10. So similarly, you need to give more time to your studies also, and you need to be more focused in your studies and be consistent, be regular in your studies. I should not have to remind you every time to go through the videos to complete your work. It is your duty now. You are doing it for yourself. Okay, so don't waste your time and be regular in your studies, and keep on asking your doubts. If you find any topic difficult, which is obvious because you are doing these things for the first time, and this chapter has included a number of new topics, a number of new concepts which must be difficult for you, or which must be new for you. So please don't hesitate in asking your doubts. Feel free to message me wherever you feel that you are stuck, this concept is not clear to you. Ask your doubt, but be regular in your studies. Okay, children, thank you. And in my next session, I'll be discussing another model of atom.